And that's our mould. So now to cast it. So before we cast it, we just want to make sure that there's nothing that's fallen in there, any crumbs, any water that's pulled. Just get those out. If you can see crumbs in it, get a paintbrush or just your finger and just sort of pull them out. You'll also want to pull out any kind of loose skin that's around the edges there so that doesn't fall in, because we don't want that going in with the plaster. Right, so in our instructions, we'll now turn to step 2, which is the cast. So in this case, we cast an adult. So again, we're going to use 4 bags of the step 2 casting stone, and we're going to use 400 mils of water, and that will give us the single cast. Right, so in this case, I'm going to use actually the containers that came with the kit. Because they're disposable, we can throw them out afterwards. We don't want to wash any of this down your sink. So that's my 400 mils of water, and I'll just mix up 2 bags into each. So we're just going to sprinkle our plaster over the water and just let it sit for a minute to soak in. And I'm going to use the spoons that Kane provided in the kit. Again, I can throw them out. We don't want to be using your good spoons at home. So we're going to gently mix this together for about a minute. Right, so we want to mix this to a smooth consistency where it flows off the spoon without any lumps. Right, so when we're doing the casting, we want to be aware of what position our hands are in and how we're filling the moulds. So if we have someone with an open hand in the cast, we want to make sure that we're going to be able to fill all of these fingertips. So let's say if someone's hand was halfway closed, their fingertips are going to be the highest point in the mould, and that's where air bubbles are going to get trapped. So in order to get those air bubbles out, we need to fill the mould with plaster and tip it backwards so that it can run into the fingertips and any air can escape up through the top of the hand. In this case, I know that Fox and I have our hands in a nice relaxed pose with our fingertips touching the backs of our hands, so we're not going to have too much of trouble with losing fingertips. So what we're going to do is just pour some of our casting plaster into the mould, and then we're going to give it a good tap and roll it around. So by tapping it, tapping helps to release the air bubbles, and rolling it will help to move the casting plaster around inside the mould so it fills all of the cavities on each side. If I know that fingers are going to be sticking out in a weird position, so say I know that Fox let go of my hand and his fingers are maybe sticking out this way, I want to make sure those fingers get filled, so I'm going to tip the mould back and tap it and allow the plaster to run back out into the casting container, and that will mean that those fingertips will get properly filled. Fingertip is filled, I can continue pouring the rest of my plaster in. I'll tap and turn some more. Now once the container is filled to the top, I'm just going to leave it to set. It needs to be left for about 2 to 4 hours. You can leave it overnight if you need to. So this kit is suitable for casting 2 people holding hands together. If you're looking to do a family or more than 2 people, you will need to have 2 kits, and again just combine the contents of both of those kits to create a larger mould. So we'll show you how to demould it shortly.